Hey, this is Jamey with Stonemaier Games, and today I'm going to talk about my favorite mechanism in the newest Isle of Skye expansion, Druids. I actually threw away the box already, or recycled the box, and fit everything into the base game, which is pretty incredible because it's not that big of a box to begin with, but everything does just barely fit into the base game of Isle of Skye. I now have both expansions. The first expansion for Isle of Skye, you can find my video on it. It's an expansion called Journeyman. It turned Isle of Skye into a very different game, a much heavier, much longer game. And I played it a couple times and enjoyed it, but I must admit I haven't played it in a long time, and I've returned to Isle of Skye. It's one of my favorite games, and played it without the expansion. When I heard about the Druids expansion, I was really curious because I heard that it fit a lot more naturally, a lot more seamlessly into the core game of Isle of Skye, and that definitely was my experience with the first play of the expansion. Basically what it adds is a new, it adds a few goal tiles and things like that, but mainly it adds a set of these purple tiles, these druid tiles, which are just similar to the tiles in the base game, but very powerful, almost always very powerful. Most of them give you points. And this Stonehenge-like mat here, where you place those tiles, and you add an extra buy phase to the game. So in Isle of Skye, there's always this buy phase where each player takes turns pricing these tiles, the tiles that they have, and then you take turns buying tiles from other players. Then you're forced to buy any tiles remaining in front of you based on the price that you set. And normally that's when the buy phase ends. But in the expansion, you also, if you want to, can purchase one of the tiles from this row for the cost shown up here. So the cost changes based on the tile itself and where it is in the position here. Or you can draw two random tiles from the bag and buy one of them for $5. That's this thing over here. So spend $5 to draw two tiles and pick one to place into your aisle. I really, really like the addition of this because A, it fits so seamlessly into the game. B, a lot of these tiles, as I mentioned, have endgame scoring points. So here's one right here that just says, hey, gain 4 points. And others have many different conditions to look at. So it's a lot of different goals for you to consider as you're playing. A lot of these are goals in the same vein as the goal tiles in the game that all players are going after. It gives you some other things to aim for, some other decisions to make. 3, what am I on, C or 3? There's also some of these tiles that give you ongoing abilities, ongoing benefits, and it's, again, built very seamlessly into the game. You get to see it on the tile here. There's also a reminder tile that you can get that sets off, that you set next to your aisle. And 4, or D, whatever I started with there, there's also, what was the last thing? Oh, it changes the way that you price things in the game, because normally in Isle of Skye, as the rounds escalate, we played a 3-player game the other day, so we used this side of the board. We played a 6-round game. As the rounds escalate, you usually price things higher and higher because you don't want people to buy your stuff. You want to be able to keep more tiles for yourself. But with this expansion, you're kind of encouraged to price pretty level throughout the whole game. Prices do go up a little bit as you have more access to money, but we never got to the outrageous prices that we have in normal Isle of Skye because we were all trying to save enough money to afford one of these awesome tiles here. Because again, this is a way of getting another tile. So instead of pricing other players out of buying your tiles, you can price things a little bit more reasonably, maybe targeting certain players who have more or less money, and then save some of your money to buy one of these tiles, which can be quite expensive. This one over here, costs 4 plus the number on the tile. Like you can see, this tile here has an 8 on it. So that tile, if that's on this slot, costs a total of $12. So you might be trying to save up money to be able to afford that tile. So I really, really like all 4 elements of that. It just adds such a nice level of decision making to the game, and it streamlines without adding that much complexity to the game at all. Yeah, so that's the Druids expansion from Isle of Skye. If you have a different favorite mechanism in the Druids expansion, I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. Or if you can think of another expansion like this that fits in really nicely and seamlessly into the core game, but adds some extra decisions and it really enhances the decisions that players were making, as like the extra buy phase does here. I'd love to hear your thoughts about that in the comments. Thanks.